So it helps if you're curious and you probe, and certainly this was true in my experience in the Peace Corps in Libya, to elicit very funny stories. So I was there in 1968 in Libya, in a village about 85 miles south of Tripoli. There were Berbers living there, and they spoke Berber and Arabic equally well. And I was teaching English in the 5th grade. And during a recess one day, they were serving me tea, and I said to them, I'd like to learn how to count to 10 in different languages. It's a very helpful thing to have when you're traveling. And I said, can you please tell me how to count to 10 in Berber? And they said, sure. So I whipped out my little notebook, whipped out my little Bic pen, and said, how do you say 1 in Berber? And they said, Ejin. So I wrote down Ejin. I said, how do you say 2? And they said, Sin. So I wrote down Sin. Then I said, how do you say 3? And there's this dead silence. I said, how do you say 3? And they said, well, we don't really have a word for that. Okay, how do you say 4? No, don't have a word for that. 5? No. 6? No. 10? No. 100? No. 2,521? No. So I said to them, well, how do you say something that's more than 2? And they said, oh, we just say a lot. So what goes through my mind is, I'm picturing a Berber arithmetic class, and the teacher says to Muhammad, how much is 9 times 9? And Muhammad strokes his chin, thinks about it for a sec, and says, a lot? The teacher says, right. Well, I told this story to many of the 101 Peace Corps volunteers I interviewed for this book. They all laughed, of course. But then one of them, John McLean, says, I can top that. And I said, what? He says, that teacher should have asked Muhammad, what's a lot times a lot? And I said, I don't know. He said, a lot more.